Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Well, on the heels of this video and a few of these videos right here, I mentioned that as we continue to get the same question pop up routinely as it relates to this new ATF pistol brace rule, we would make sure that we do videos on that. And this is a question, of course, that has come up with a bit of frequency. It's a question that one would think has a simple answer, but since we're dealing with the ATF, the Department of Justice, and our federal government, the answer is much more complicated than it really needs to be. So today, let's spend a few minutes and talk about, is just removing the brace the easiest way out of this entire pistol brace fiasco? Okay, so the issue we are talking about yet again today is ATF's new rule on firearms with attached stabilizing braces, better known as the pistol brace rule. And specifically, can you just take the pistol brace off and call it good? Now, the source of material for today's discussion, because we do like to cite to our resources here, is the pistol brace rule itself. Specifically, we're going to spend time on pages 223, 224, 271, and then some extra special attention on page 280. Now, as we know, if hypothetically you fall into a category of a person who went to bed one night, a lawful and responsible owner of an AR pistol, only to wake up the next day to discover no, in fact, you were the owner of a short barrel rifle or a federally regulated Title II firearm under the NFA, and you happen to now have to decide what you want to do with this firearm. As we know, we have essentially 4 options, and technically we have about 6 options. You can check those out on this video right here. But the 4 options that ATF discusses is, number 1, destroy the firearm. No. Number 2, turn the firearm into ATF. Listen, if you're not willing to destroy the firearm, why the hell would you turn it into ATF? Number 3, and this is the one we're going to be talking about today, is we can reconfigure the firearm such that we don't fall under the purview of the rule anymore. And then the 4th one, of course, is we can go through this amnesty registration, which has been the subject of other videos and will be the subject of more in the future. Now, let's talk about option 3, reconfiguring the firearm. We know, and we've already shown it here, that, hey, listen, if you got a 10.5-inch barrel on this thing, you go ahead, put a 16-inch barrel on, not a problem. Now you're no longer falling under the purview of any definition of a short barrel rifle because you have a 16-inch barrel. At that point, interestingly enough, you can go ahead and remove the stabilizing brace, put a full shoulder stock on, you got yourself an AR rifle. Remember, going from a pistol to a rifle is not a problem. However, going from a rifle to a pistol, as we talked about in this video, is a problem. Now, on page 223 and 224, when a bunch of commenters were complaining about the cost and the complexity of having to either remove these braces or register these firearms, the ATF, in shooting down those comments, began to talk about what removal of a pistol brace does as it relates to bringing you into compliance with this rule. And I want you to pay careful attention to some of the language they use, because the rule specifically states, the department also acknowledges that some states may regulate a firearm with a 16-inch or longer barrel as an assault weapon under state law. However, the department still believes that there are methods available for individuals to comply with these states' laws. For example, an individual can remove the stabilizing brace such that it cannot be reattached, and the individual could possess the resulting pistol consistent with the requirements of their state law. So what they're saying is you can remove the pistol brace such that it cannot be reattached. I'm not quite certain what that means yet. We will get there. But I also want you to consider what the ATF is saying to do here. They're saying, well, you can just go ahead and remove the pistol brace and now operate it as a pistol. Now, I want you to think about what they are saying. They believe that this firearm with the attached stabilizing brace constitutes a short barrel rifle. If it's a short barrel rifle, it of course falls under the larger category of rifle. Now, I said converting a pistol to a rifle is not a problem, but a rifle to a pistol is a problem. And yet this is exactly what they're saying on page 223, 224 to do. Fortunately, when it comes to this potential trap, the ATF does address it as follows. The department recognizes that the removal of a stabilizing brace from a firearm that was originally received as a short barrel rifle would cause the firearm to become a weapon made from a rifle as defined by the NFA. However, the department, in its enforcement discretion, will allow individuals to reconfigure the firearm to a pistol so long as the reconfiguration is completed within 120 days after this rule is published. And I should point out that the rule has not officially published yet, so that 120-day clock is not running yet. Now, the ATF finishes this off by saying, this reconfiguration may bring the firearm into compliance with state law, even if the state restricts possession of short-barreled rifles. It may also be possible for the individual to consider other modifications to the firearm that are not included within this rule that would bring a firearm into compliance with state law. But if we're talking exclusively on what you need to do to comply with this federal rule, it appears that you need to remove the stabilizing brace in a manner that it cannot be reattached. What the hell does that mean? And as we go through the rule, page 270, page 271, page 272, page 273, we routinely see the same language used over and over by the ATF, which is, remove the stabilizing brace such that it cannot be reattached. But as we finally get deeper into the rule, into the late 270s and finally to page 280, we begin to see at least a little bit more guidance on what ATF means. Now again, I am not saying this is what you need to do. I am certainly not telling you how to think. I am giving you the stuff to think about. This is how ATF describes it on page 271. Permanently remove and dispose of or alter the stabilizing brace such that it cannot be reattached, thereby removing the weapon from the regulation as a firearm under the NFA. So they are saying that you must permanently remove and dispose of or alter the brace in such a way that it cannot be reattached. Now, other than absolute destruction, I'm going to defer to people who are far more well-versed in gunsmithing and other configuration of firearms to figure out what this means. So we're beginning to see a little bit more clarification. And when we get to page 80, which again is another summary of all the different options, page 80 also uses the language, permanently remove and dispose of or alter the stabilizing brace from the firearm such that it cannot be reattached. So, even though that plain English tells us that if you take a stabilizing brace off the firearm, you are no longer under the purview of a rule that's called firearms with attached stabilizing braces, plain English, unfortunately, is not enough, is not sufficient to interpret ATF regulations because there is more to it. No, as a matter of fact, if we read the ATF regulations as how they are written, what we must do is we actually must remove the pistol brace and destroy it or alter it or the firearm in such a fashion that that brace cannot be reattached. Now, that may have many different meanings for many different people depending on the platform of firearm that we are talking about, but that is how the rule reads. Listen, I'm sure you're going to have more questions about this or anything else related to what's left of your Second Amendment rights. And if you do, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com or you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, in the meantime, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.